Hey, welcome back to the IG, everyone. My name's Mike, and this is our 1973 Mercedes-Benz 450 SL, otherwise known as the R107. Now, this is an early chassis model, and it's been giving us quite a few headaches because of that. The VIN number on this one is really early. It's like 9277, and shortly thereafter, they made a lot of changes that stayed in the production run pretty much all the way through 89. But in these very early models, you're going to find it difficult to find parts. And we've been running into that in some of our previous videos, but I think we got the brakes finally licked. I've got the parts in the house to finish our brake caliper rebuild, and we've also decided to expand the engine bay cleanup work to include the core support and headlight bucket restoration. So you guys stick around. Thanks for stopping by. All right, we're back at it. So we got these brake caliper rebuild kits here in from Autohaus AZ. This is by FTE Automotive, a Vallejo company. Interesting. And these are German made in Germany right there. There's your information right there. 9323532. Part number on this kit. So looks like, opened it up a moment ago, it looks like really nice quality, and you would expect that to be the case. So yeah, and we got the two halves here. We got the properly sized 57 millimeter O-rings for the early style calipers, for the early chassis R107, and then we have the two dust covers. That's what I guess I call them. I guess this is a dust cover clip. I don't know what you call this anyway, but we're going to use it. So let's get busy. Whoops. Get ourselves some brake. Guess I ought to put some gloves on, huh? Let's do that. Let me get some gloves. I got these medium-sized gloves from O'Reilly the other day. I wear a large, but these are only $2.22 for the box. So for $2.22 for the box, I will struggle to put on medium-sized gloves. So yeah, so we're gonna soak this O-ring down in some brake fluid. Try to make as big a mess as we can here. If you've never done this before, there's a groove down inside the bore. And this sealing ring is basically the profile is a square. See how easily that went in there? The previous kit that we got was it was the wrong size. They were 60 millimeter, and they wouldn't work at all. So, because they were for a later car. And get this piston soaked down with brake fluid here. And I'm assuming that won't be too much of a struggle. I might have to let me get the rubber hammer. Let me try that. Keep the debris out of it. Is that working? I don't know. There we go. We got her in there. Get it flush. All right, that's good enough, Harris. Let's see, we're going to put you over here with this, put you over there, put you over there. Now, we got to put on this dust cover here. I probably pounded that in there too far. That's probably what I did. I certainly did. Got overly exuberant. Now I'm paying the price for it. So we probably should have put this around the lip of the piston like this first. See, that's what we were supposed to do, but I got stupid and didn't do that. I guess I'll get a little bit of air and all right, I raised it up enough, just prying it up a little bit with the screwdriver. You know, that's just the way it goes when you don't know what you're doing. And we're just going to ease this lip of this dust cover down into that recess around the end of the piston. Alright, now we got to put this thing on here some kind of way. Actually, it doesn't look like it's too big of a deal, really. This slips down in that inside the piston there and kind of locks into place. These little clips here don't really seem to do anything. The only thing I need to figure out is which side this goes on. So maybe we can use logic. Okay, I screwed up, which is, you know, not unusual. So the piston has these two little ledges on it, one here and one here. This part here is higher than this part here, okay? The way this outer metal clip is designed, apparently it's something to do with noise suppression. Anyway, so you see this opening here, right? And then it's closed in here. So that's got to match the piston. Furthermore, the long flat side is going to go towards this side of the caliper, okay? The more open side. So in order to get the piston to these little indentations and all that to match up with this groove here, I put the piston in incorrectly. I'm going to have to rotate it. They make a tool for it, but I don't have it. So, all right, we got her out of there. I just went ahead and took the piston all the way out, removed the dust cap, and I removed the piston again with, you know, the tapping method. So, actually, I found a remaining bit of rust stuck in that seal groove that came out on the piston. So, it was kind of actually good that we pulled it back out of there. And let me hit the wire wheel on that lip right there real quick and get that last bit out of there. All right, now where were we before we were so rudely interrupted by my stupidity? We have to make these bumps here, that one there and that one there, line up with these cutouts here in this metal bracket ring, whatever you want to call it. So it will go sort of like that. Not going to be perfect, but you get it. So we have to orientate those two things together. Brake fluid on our piston here. And we drop it. Try again. So, boy, he's just a hack. Okay, so we can just place that there like that. Don't forget the dust boot, Harris. Yes, sir. That right there gives us, there's some play in there. We got some play to orientate that. Okay, very cool. All right, so let's get this boot on here. Hold your mouth just right now. Let's see, we get it on there. Yep, looks like it's good to go. Now, we're going to do the violent thing all over again. All right, we got her in there finally. And now, we can just ease this in here at our leisure, because we have a little play in that gap there, and we can just sort of tap that in there like that. And that's 1/2 done. As far as I'm concerned, we're golden. And I'm going to move over here, and I'm going to do one last brake cleaning on this. I'll be right back. Now that we know what we're doing, kind of, should be a little easier on us. It's been a while since I've done this. Lube up the O-ring. Lube up the piston bore. It's not an O-ring, it's a piston seal. An O-ring has a round profile. This has a square profile. Get with the program, Harris. Okay, now we got this guy here. Previously, we lubed our piston when we didn't know what we were doing. All right. We can set this in here in the proper orientation. See, this one's a little bit different. It's got, the thing is on that side. That means we need to twist our piston. Need more. There we go. Give her the slam job. That other piston was tighter than this one. This rubber mallet seems to be doing the trick. I'm going to do this one a little bit differently. I'm going to go ahead and put the rubber and this thing on there and hope for the best. I had to take it back out again, so I put a bolt very lightly into that hole to hold the air pressure while I blew it out with air. There we go. That seemed to work out a lot better to put them on together. That is looking really smart right there. Man, that thing twists a little bit, didn't it? Is that going to matter? I don't know how it twists like that. It wasn't like that when it twisted on there. Why did it do that? Well, it ain't twisted now. Don't tell anybody I did it that way. Okay, I think we're done with that part. Only took all day. Not really, it just took longer than what I wanted. These are the brake caliper bolts. Don't recommend using them as a stopper while you blow the thing out because the threads don't match, but all I did was placed it in there just gently, just enough to keep the air from coming out. So it's gonna be okay. I would like a new clean working surface. I would also like a new clean pair of gloves for the next step. What I read online that, which you guys probably already know this, but apparently this metal ring fits into these two grooves on that piston for some kind of noise suppression or something. At least that's what AI told me. Who knows if it's right. Get ourselves a couple of these caliper half seals that we purchased. You saw them in the last video. There's one. There's another one. Oops, I got two. You get back in there. So if you didn't see that last video, these little caliper half seals have a square profile. They're not O-rings. They're 10.5 millimeters on the ID and 6 millimeters on the 10.5 millimeters on the OD, and then 6 millimeters on the ID. And these pretty much fit every ATE caliper on the face of the planet from like the mid-60s up through the early 80s. I forget which. These O-rings are, or these caliper seals are all the same, rather. Normally this would not take very long, but the orientation of the piston and this metal thing, that really kind of threw me for a loop. So put a little brake fluid on these mating surfaces and let's put them together. How about that? These bolts are the original ones. You know, I bought new ones. Hell, let's just use them. Should I use the original bolts or should I use the new ones? The new ones have more threads, but they're the same hardness. But they have new Allen thingies here. So, and the old ones, well, they don't. I mean, they look pretty good, but they're a little worn. So I think we'll just go ahead and use new bolts. How about that? Brand new bolts, got them from McMaster Car. If you never used McMaster Car before to buy your fasteners, I highly recommend it. Matter of fact, I spent 2 hours this morning doing a lot of research trying to find the proper exhaust manifold bolts because I started cleaning up the ones I had and they were like, oh, okay, this is not going to work. Exhaust manifold bolts, pay attention, Harris. Exhaust manifold bolts are always nasty. I should have got my Allen wrench out before I started this. I don't even remember what size it was. Let's see. Was it a 6 or an 8? You guys remember? I think it's a 6. Nope, it's an 8. It is an 8. And I'll need to get my, I need to look up the torque on this. We want to do it correctly, you know. All right, let me go look up that torque rating. I'll be right back. All right, early style brakes bit me once again. It's like, you know, I'm just a moron, right? So, yeah, these brake pads are different as well. So, these are for the later model R107. They also fit the 126 apparently, but they don't fit these early style calipers. They're too wide. So, yeah. Normally, you know, you've got these brand new pins here. They seem to be not correct either. Unbelievable. I've got more work to do for myself. All right, so I found the original clips that hold the pads in, and we're going to go ahead and use these. I soaked them in the de-ruster for a good long while and wire wheeled them. Now I'm going to hit them up with some flat black. They were originally black anyway, but they're clearly a different shape to fit these early style calipers. As far as the pins go, I'm going to use the pins out of the new kit. The skinny part of the pin is a little bit too long. I'll show you later. I'm probably going to have to modify them a little bit, as opposed to trying to find the exact caliper hardware kit. I think I may just modify the pins that came with the new kit. I'll show you that later. So anyway, let me get some flat black on these and we'll put them in the baggie. Let me get on the internet box and order up some pads that fit these early style calipers. It's just one damn thing right after another. Oh yeah, and paint scratch. They sent me the wrong color paint to paint my engine bay. Yeah. Bet you guys thought I was going to forget about this little thing, huh? Yeah, that's the original bleeder. I just cleaned it up in vinegar and a wire wheel a while back. It's been in the bag all this time waiting for me to finally finish this. All right, there we go. Fully assembled except for the pads and the hardware that holds the pads in place. So, got on Rock Auto, ordered the correct pads, which are like 76 millimeters wide, something like that. And the ones I bought are 89 millimeters wide, so whatever. It is what it is. Got to wait a few more days. And actually, we could just go ahead and put this on the car now, I suppose, and bolt it up. We just wouldn't have pads in there, but that'd be dumb. So we'll wait. Crap work keeps on coming. So these are the valve train hardware packs. This is #1 cylinder intake. We'll take that out of there. We'll put it in the chem dip for a couple hours. Wash it in mineral spirits, put it in a new bag, mark it clean, and move on. I've done a few already. This is one exhaust. Cleaned that up. Looking really smart indeed. I actually did this one first as an experiment, just to make sure everything was going to work out okay. Seems to be. So yeah, of course, you know, keeping everything organized by cylinder and by valve. If you don't do that, you might as well just throw the motor away. Air conditioning components, hardware, soaking in the vinegar now. Oil damper. Got the oil damper diaphragm in, the new one from Auto City Classics, I think the name of it is. So they've got that oil damper in case you're interested. They got a bunch of other stuff too. So authentic classics for your vintage Mercedes parts store. AuthenticClassics.com. So yeah, pretty cool. Had the they had the oil damper for a good price. It was all right. Change of plans once again. So the paint scratch people, I don't think they intentionally got the color wrong. I don't think they were so grossly incompetent that they got the color that wrong. Basically, they sent me purple paint, not anthracite gray. Honestly, I really think they just got the orders mixed up, because the cans that I received literally had inkjet printed labels on them. So I'm thinking, okay, that could be a situation where you have a bunch of silver cans with no labels on them laying around, and there's a mix-up, and they just put the wrong labels on the wrong cans, and they get shipped out. I'm guessing somebody got gray paint, and I got their purple paint. Regardless, they're sending me a refund, and that's perfectly fine. So we're going to move on. I've already had paint for this engine bay, mixed up locally at National, what is it, National Coatings, something like that. Anyway, Limco branded paints made by BASF. It's single stage, and we're going to go with that. So also I've got on order some Pour 15 high build primer, some Pour 15 reducer to go with the primer. And because you need to use, from what I've been told, you need to use the Pour 15 primer over the Pour 15 if you have Pour 15 on your work, and I do, in the engine bay. So we're going to finish scuffing the engine bay, and then we're going to prime it with Pour 15 high build primer, and then over the top of that we're going to go with the Limco BASF single stage anthracite gray. Now, since paint scratch threw me for a loop in all of that, I basically decided to dispense with working on the brakes for now and go ahead and concentrate on painting the engine bay, and I've decided to expand that project just a little bit. So let me tell you what I've got. I'm going to go ahead and include the core support in the painting project. And that means taking the condenser out to give us some room. And I also need to remove that air conditioning hose right there, so that connects up right there. I'm not going to bother with trying to break this free right here, this screw-on connection. I'm just going to cut the hose. So that's what I've been doing here this evening, is preparing to remove the condenser. So the condenser had some cross bracing on it, on the frame behind it rather, and this is it right here, and just 4 10mm bolts, and that came right out. And the condenser is held on with a screw here and another one here on either side. So that is what I'm working on next. So anyway, once we get the condenser, and I might as well take the fan out while we're at it, what we'll go ahead and do is prepare this core support. I'm not sure how extensive or how much work that's going to be, but as you can see all along the top there, we got rust, and we've got rusty fasteners. So we've got a little bit of work here, but not a huge amount. And we'll probably do the top and this right-hand side and left-hand side, and of course on the engine side and the front. Behind the bumper, I don't think I'm going to mess with that just yet, because, you know, it's one of those things, and I've talked about it before. You got to know when to stop, when to cut off. Where's your limit point, you know? If you don't restrict yourself somewhat, then before you know it, the whole car will be in pieces on the floor. So we don't want that. I've got a brand new fog light over in the corner. It's a Bosch. It's an OEM, just off a junk car. I got it on eBay. It looks really good. It's not bent up. The lens is good. Everything else, so just should bolt on replacement there. I've also got that light in the car. I got one of those already. And this bezel trim around the headlights. I found some of that on eBay as well. Got that sitting over in the corner. And here we are. I think these might have come from a flooded car. They were gave the guy $40, and it cost me, with taxes and everything, I think about 60 all told, with taxes and shipping and everything. As you can see, there's like dirt down inside there. I can see it rattling around. It's not corrosion, it's dirt. So, and some mold down inside there. But the condition is really good. It has that typical, there's a little bit of hazing and cracking on there, but not a huge deal. If there's any major cracks, I'm going to get in there with some of that water-thin super glue and fill that in. It's sort of like, you know, repairing a guitar. You got these little metal covers on the back side here with the plastic sort of melted over the top there. So really all I got to do is maybe just get a Dremel tool out and get those little covers off, and I can drain all this dirt out of here and wash it up really good. And then I can just simply go in here and use a different area with like maybe a soldering iron or something, and bend the plastic back over there and just put it back the way it was. Shouldn't be a big deal, but this was a real bargain. This should take me probably half an hour to do this work, to get these going and get them back serviceable. So there's a lot of dirt and mold down in there. Again, I think it was from a flooded car, but anyway, Bosch, made in Germany, right there. Original equipment stuff. Cheap. So up next, let's go ahead and get this condenser out of the R107. All right, these lower bolts are 8mm. And I don't think they're going to have At least I don't think they're going to have a nut on the other side. Let's hope they don't, because that is just a pain in the butt. That is just a self-tapping screw into the bumper. And surprisingly, not a whole lot of rust here. You know, when I pulled this car out of that barn and I started really looking it over, I was thinking to myself, man, what have I gotten myself into? I still think that from time to time, but I think it's going to be okay. Yeah, it's being nice to me for a change. How about that? I'm going to see if I can take this whole thing out at the same time. You know, with the dryer, this thing here, and the bracketry and everything. So we'll see how well we do. I'm not sure if it's going to work out. Want to sag maybe? Not sure. A little bit. Yep, starting to move now. Come, there we go. Yeah, I'll have to get a backer wrench for that one. Let's see. Where'd my bolt go? Oh, my nut. I lost my nut. Oh, it'll fall out here in a minute. It'll be all right. Okay. All right, so we're going to clip the high side, which is the smaller one. Oh, that's so gratifying. The low side, man, this thing is hefty. I don't know what is on the exterior of that. It seems like it's maybe metal or something. It's so exquisitely made that I don't want to cut it. It just looks cool, you know. So I disconnected the wires from the dryer. I'm assuming that's the pressure cutoff switch. I think this condenser is ready to come out. Don't tear the condenser up, Harris. Okay, let's set it down over there. Yeah. Get over there. This is going to make our life a lot easier. I know it sounds stupid, but I kind of want to save this line the way it is. It's just that original Mercedes low pressure line is just a beast, man. I don't want to cut it. And probably if I tried to cut it, it'd probably ruin my cutters anyway. All right, come on out of there. Maybe we can save this unit. All right, this is where I keep my radiators. That's the one out of the R107 and the oil cooler. That one over there is the one out of the Corvette, and that was one out of the Cadillac, and that is the condenser out of the R107. So yeah, all these guys are original equipment. I don't want to throw them away because they're all brass. They're original stuff. I had the Corvette radiator redone, like had it, you know, bored out, bleeded out, and all that kind of jazz at a radiator shop. So it's actually pretty good. Might have another leak in it, I'm not sure. Anyway, they probably both leak, but they probably all leak. Who am I fooling? Including that. I'm going to try to see if we can't reuse this. We might have to use a more modern unit. I'm not sure. We'll find out. We'll pressure test it here in the next few weeks and see how well we do. All right, so we're getting the fan out of here just for 10mm bolts. I'm draining the air tank over there, by the way, getting all the water out of it, getting ready to paint here in a few days. So yeah, I went ahead and disconnected the wiring harness right here, and got to snake that back through, and it looks like I've got to take a couple of these body mounted wiring harness doohickeys off. And, you know, I found that while they are reusable, most of them are dry rotted. So I'm just going to clip those off and just not worry about it, because if I try to take them off, they're just going to shatter. So I'm going to clip these wiring harness things off right here. They poke through the core support. It's just a battle that's not worth fighting. Probably find these online somewhere, and if I don't, I'll just use conventional zip ties. So, all right, what do we got there? There we go. I don't even know if this thing works. I hope it does, and we can just continue to reuse it. We'll bench test it here in a little while. So I've been in here messing around with the wire wheel a little bit, just cleaning up, trying to see what's what. You know, I've been cleaning up this side here. There's a relay up in here, electrical box. I'll probably have to remove that if I really want to get in there with that, you know. But nobody in their right mind is going to see up in there. There is some rust right there. I probably need to treat that. So As much as I hate doing it, I probably ought to take this relay box out of here. It's just 2 bolts, and move it out of the way. And let's see, this is the area right below the fan. This is just me exploring and seeing what's what here. That's all. This is part of the front valance, so that'll just clean it up with soap and water, I think. There's no major damage up here from rust. It's just little spot rust here and there. You know, it's crap work, right? So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to be going this and zzz and all this kind of stuff. That's really what I'm going to be doing. It's not really earth-shattering stuff here. I kind of really enjoy the patina of this upper part of this core support, and I don't know why. I just do, but I'll probably eliminate it, and I'll need to remove the emissions tag. It's riveted, or maybe not. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Maybe I'll just, you know, try to treat it in place, see what happens. It's got a black paint on it and raised lettering, but it's kind of corroded, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. And then, of course, the VIN tag over here, or the body tag, it's got rust around it. The body tag is in good condition, but it's held on with screws. Should be able to get that off without any problems. I guess I'll probably go ahead and just end up, you know, stripping this down and, you know, doing it properly. So it is what it is. I kind of like the way it looks. I may take a photograph of it before I start in on that, but yeah, it's quite the dilemma. All right, well, let's carry on. All right, we just got this little box off down here. Apparently, it is the voltage regulator, and it was bolted in there. So I've got some cleanup work to do in that corner. That's really why I wanted to remove this. Have no idea if it works. I got the wire wheel after this and found the numbers. 0190600009 shows up as a voltage regulator. Have no idea if it works. I'll have to read up on bench testing it and see if it does. Probably not, from the state of that down in there. So yeah, you know, do you have to use the exact one? Voltage regulators are voltage regulators, are they not? So yeah. Anyway, or buy an alternator that has a voltage regulator built into it. That could be an option as well. So yeah. Anyway, we're going to put this aside here with the core support and condenser hardware and everything. That'll go together. And we'll save that for a little later. All right, been doing the crap work. Been cleaning up best I can. It's not going to be perfect, this core support, but I'm going to give it a pretty good go. So I'm going to go ahead and get this off of here. I just cracked these loose. Got a big old number 3 Phillips head. And they cracked loose. They were on there pretty tight, but they weren't terrible. Looks like they probably had a little sealant on them. Look at that condition of that screw-in right there. That's pretty cool. I got to figure out how to get that out of there now. Probably some kind of insane in the membrane crap. I just decided I'm going to draw a line on that. I'm not going to remove that. It's connected to the, you know, the linkage that goes into the car. And there's a spring there, and there's all this stuff, and like, I'm not doing that. So all I'm going to do is clean this up around here. I'm going to get all this rust up from around it, which I couldn't do when it was in place. And then we'll screw it back down, and then we'll paint it. All right, we've been digging deep and getting this rust out of here with a nice sharp wire wheel and the flap disc down there. So, you know, looking pretty rough right now, but we'll get it cleaned up here. I'm going to get the wire wheel in there to get those deep pits out. Right now I'm going to go in here and remove the body tag. And I think there's some schools of thought here. Some folks don't want to disturb this kind of stuff, but I made the call that I was, so this is what I'm doing. Put your screwdriver in a pair of vice grips, help you out a lot. So yeah, there you go. Body tag removed. We'll de-rust that little guy there and put that in a safe place. And we're going to, oh, there's a plate. Okay, interesting. All right. Keep those two things together in a special little baggie. And we'll continue on in our rust prep. Well, there's not really any need in bench testing this fan. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to spin freer than that. I wonder how much these are online. What is that, an 8-inch fan? Or 10? 8 or 10? Probably 8. If you couldn't find this online, I'm sure you could probably find one that fits the bill and could, bolt in there. It wouldn't have to be the original one. But it depends on the availability, clearly. So anyway, this is not a huge deal. This part ought to clean up nicely. We'll put an aftermarket fan in there if you can't find the original, and it'll be fine. So there you go. So what I'm doing over here is just more crap work, just cleaning. Got some anti-rust stuff or some rust removal stuff in a spray bottle up in that little corner right there. I'm going to clean that up as best I can before we do the Pour 15 thing. Same here on this side as well. I'm going to draw the line on the bumper area. I'm not going to remove the bumper this go around. That's where you got to stop. We're just going to do the core support, as much of the core support as I can do in this universe of discourse, as my discrete mathematics professor used to say. And we're going to call it a day. Anyway, so we're going to carry on doing the prep work on the core support. We're going to clean up this rust down here. We're going to clean up the rust up there as well. And at some point we're going to move on and replace this light, headlight trim, and the blinker. All right, we're back at it. The next day. Happy New Year. This is New Year's Day. We have prepped this core support up and got it sanded down, got the wire wheel, got all the rust pits out of it, and sanded it pretty thoroughly. And I've got all the hardware and the body tag and all that stuff cleaned up as well, and got it all bagged and tagged. And the next thing I did was to use the Pour 15 metal prep. If you note that this has a grayish, dull, matte finish now, it's because it's been coated and treated with the Pour 15 metal prep to prevent any further corrosion and to address any corrosion down in these pits where you just can't get to. So, treated that area all in there, treated this area right here as well as behind back here where there was pretty, not extensive, but, it was thoroughly rusted, let's just say that. So we got the metal prep back in there and got that squared away. So right now, though, I'm kind of at a stopping point because I'm waiting on stuff to come in the mail. I've got Pour 15 primer on order, and tomorrow I've got to go pick up a small container of the catalyst or activator for that top coat color that I had mixed up just the other day. All they had when I was there was really large containers of the activator, and that was really expensive. And I don't need that much, so they were going to order a smaller container, and I'll go pick that up tomorrow. So I've got all these things coming in the mail. I got brake hardware, not going to be here till next week. Brake pads, not going to be here till next week. I've got a bunch of things on order that are not going to be here for several more days. So really, I'm kind of at a stopping point. But I think there are a couple more things that we can knock out in this weekend's video. I want to get that light replaced right there. I want to get this license plate bracket bent back into a proper shape and painted maybe, and then I want to go ahead and get the headlight trim and maybe the blinker installed on the front of this car. Kind of tidy up the front end of this thing and make it look a little bit nicer. So let's do that next. Alright, let's see how well we do here. I'm going to start off by replacing this lens over here. Don't give me a hard time. Yeah, just going out of there. It's been in there for... I've only been in there for 52 years. Or no, 53. Now that we're in 2026. All right. Actually, these metal pieces here are keepers. This is a keeper. I mean, even though it's broken, it's a keeper because it's just a good example to go by for certain things. So we're going to put that in the parts cabinet for sure. Glad we're doing this. Looks like we got some nastiness up in there. Leaves, nests maybe. I don't know. So got a brand new cover, Mercedes part, and we got the seal that came with the car, so that's pretty cool. Basically, this thing has 3 studs on it, and you got to take this out to get to it, I guess. What do we got here? Yeah, we got mouse nest. Awesome. Yep. That's great. Before I get started, let me go ahead and get the vacuum cleaner and suck that out of there. So I may be able to get a little bit out of there, but I'll probably have to take the rest of this mess out of here to get it all. So let's see how well we do here. All right, that worked out pretty well. Let's take off this bottom piece here. Let's do that. Why not? Oh yeah, thank you. All right, got that one loose. Got another one right here. There we go. Hopefully it's just 2. Little spring-loaded action there. I read up on this in the service manual the other day. It seems like they said to take that little thing loose first. So let's see. Can we get it all the way out of there? Yeah, there we go. Okay, now I guess we just want to take the whole headlight assembly out somewhat so we can replace this. I think that's my goal here. And we got a bunch of rusty screws, so wish me luck. There we go. Well, so far, so good. The screw there is not corroded at all. I remember when those battery-operated screwdrivers first came out in the 70s when I was a kid. They were really weak. They just go like that. It was horrible. You couldn't break anything loose with them. They were just, you put a couple of D batteries in them and, weighed 5 pounds and spin a screw about as fast as I could turn it out with a screwdriver. They were pretty much useless. Oh yeah. Yep, that's what we got. Mouse nest galore. Holy crap. I'm glad we're doing this. Sorry about that light over there. Let me do something about that. I'm going to take a picture of that first. All right, well, this is where I didn't want to be, but I'm into it now. So, mouse, urination has got this all corroded. I think it looks like we can clean it up. We just need to get it out of here, soak it, derust it, and paint it up. That's no big deal. However, we've got a wiring harness that's been eaten up, so we're going to have to redo this. Yeah, see that wire there obviously goes there. And yeah, we got it. Oh, good Lord. Okay. The project just got expanded and I'm okay with it. It's going to be okay. So what I'm going to do now is unplug these connectors, get this unit out of here, and begin the process of tearing it down, and so we can derust it and all those and do all the things. So let's move on with our slightly elevated project scale. Okay, and clearly we have to do something about that. We can't leave it. I suppose I could stop right here, put this light on, put the new headlight trim on, and then place this back into the headlight hole and just let it sit there and look pretty. And then do this later. Just take it back out and do this later. Or I could do this now. I can't put this back in that hole without fixing this. Or I could go find one of these on eBay. Let me go look at that. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so just a quick look on eBay there. The good used ones are going anywhere from 110 to 150, 175 per side for the whole assembly. I did find a guy that was selling both sides for 75 bucks, but he said he thought they were bent, but he wasn't sure. And I got to looking closely at the photographs, and sure enough, they were bent. So do I want to spend, by the time, I don't want to fix that one guy's stuff. So do I want to drop 300 bucks on this? No, I don't. I'm going to rebuild this. So that's my decision. I think we'll start by removing the wiring harness. When you're removing old connectors, you want it with a flat blade, you want to use a twisting action, and you do one side and then you do the other. And even if you're just moving it a millimeter, you know, on each side, that's fine. Otherwise, you're just going to break it when you're dealing with old stuff. The bolt has USA written on the blades. That's pretty cool. Okay. These screws here, these are trash. I'm assuming these are just, yeah, self-tappers. So I can just cut those out, probably. If they don't want to play ball, let's find out. Okay, cool. I was trying to get in a hurry with this car because, you know, I know I want the engine to come back and all that kind of stuff. And I was really wanting to get the brakes done, and I wanted to move on to the rear of the car, to be honest with you. But I guess this is not going to happen. I think we just need to spend the extra time, and clearly the front end of the car needs attention. So we just got to man up and get it done. Alright, let's see here. What do we got here? These are ground connections. Is that a rivet or is that a screw? That is a rivet. Let's take a photograph. Alright, let's go ahead and get these bulbs out of here next. I should be able to redo these for effectively, you know, zero cost, just using the stuff I have here in the shop. So it's going to take time. Might as well get it done. Wagner, 12.8 volts, 4000 DOTH9. Blah, 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 blah. This, that, and the other thing. Wagner sealed beam. I wonder if they work. Yeah, well. Alright, now, let's get the blinker off next. Of course, it's not 10. That would make too much sense. You guys comment down below in the video if you saw this coming ahead of me. So that's a good serviceable reflective doohickey. Let's start bagging up this stuff. We're going to put this nice pristine reflector in its own bag. Put that in there. Put these in here. Couple of nuts there. That's garbage, because I have new parts over there. There's the other nut. Okay, good. Okay, let's set these headlights over here on the bench. The other bench, that is. All right, what's next? I did that exercise so I could get to, in my mind, there's a rivet right here that holds this ground on here. And I'd really like to remove this and redo this wiring, but I can't because all of the grounds are riveted to this frame. And so yeah, I think maybe the Dremel tool is the next step. Time now for antique Dremel tool. It's like 25 years old. Alright, I think I got enough of that rivet off. I should be able to tap that out of there. There we go. All that mess can be removed, and I can figure out which wires I want to replace and which wires I want to keep. We need to remove the blinker side marker wire along with its receptacle. I wonder if the passenger side is just as bad. Alright, so I've got that removed intact, which is good, so I don't have to, remember that much about it. What to do here? I think that is as far as I'm going to take it. I don't want to take it any farther down than that. I think what I'm going to do now is soak this in vinegar for 24 hours and then get after it with a wire wheel and then paint it. And that'll be all. It'll be good. And while this is soaking, I can redo that wiring. It'll be okay. It's going to be okay. Let's go ahead and give the vinegar a fighting chance. I found that these brass wire wheels are sharper than steel ones. I don't know why. It's just what I found. These cut better than the steel ones. Wow, that's nasty. God. Smells like rat turds. Imagine that. Alright, that's good enough. Let me get this over to the vinegar bath. I'll be right back. Alright, so we've been working on this corner area here and got some rust down in there. Got the wire wheel after it, got most of it out. We're going to let the Pour 15 metal prep take care of the rest of that, and we're not going to worry about it. Down there in the corner where the mouse had been taking a leak, it's a little nasty down in there, but when we decide to paint the car, the fenders are going to come off anyway, and we'll be able to address that at that time. But for right now, I just want to get the headlight trim installed, the new blinker thingy installed, make sure the headlights function so that when we get the engine back in, we can drive the car. That's the goal for now. The body, not so much right now. So anyway, it is looking a lot nicer in there. So what I'm going to do here in a little bit is I will get the metal prep out. And once that is done, I'll probably just come in here with a little rattle can self-etching primer or something, just to keep this from rusting any further until we get to the body later on. So that's the way I want to play that for now. Also, we need to put a little wrap around these wires where the mice were nibbling on it, here and here, but that's no big deal. And we'll figure out what we need to do about this wiring here. This piece of plastic seems to be still in okay-ish shape. There is a crack in it. I think it'll be okay. I think we just need, see this wiring here, the mice had gnawed the covering off of it. Do we have any wire? Lo and behold, we have a whole roll of 14 gauge Dorman wire in white. How about that? Now we got to figure out which wires we're going to keep and which wires we're not going to keep. This bulb here for this side marker, how does that come out? Little twisty quarter turn. Yep, that's all it is. That's in very fine condition there. That the mice didn't get to that. It's in fine shape. No corrosion or anything in there. So that's pretty cool. What kind of bulb is that? Let's just see. USA something. 12 volt, 4 watts. K15632. Anyway, put that in a baggie. I think before I dive into this, I think I'm going to dump this in a super clean bath. Yeah, how about that? See if we can get this cleaned up first, and then we'll work on it. All right, after soaking in the bucket of super clean, I got after it with a paintbrush and got it looking much nicer indeed. So you can see what you're doing now. When stuff is all nasty, you just really can't see what you're doing. We're going to need to assess what needs to be repaired and what needs to be left alone. We're going to start with this one wire that is clearly been lopped in too. And let's see how much of that wire is bad. Just the part right there, I guess. Well, it was gnawed right there, up there close to the connector, which is not cool. Stupid mice. I guess what I'm going to do is see if I can't pull that out of there and figure out a way to make another connector and put a little piece of wire on there. We got this one little section here to repair. Is that it? It was so nasty, it looked horrible. But now, not so much. Maybe it's just those two things we have to repair. That'd be cool. All right, so you slip that down in there and you bend that little tab back and it comes right out. No big deal. Okay, now what can we do with this? We're going to strip this back and put a little piece of wire on there and do a little soldering, and that'll be fine. Get rid of this gnarly bit right here. There we go. Get a little cleaner on that, a little brake clean on that. Brighten that wire up really nicely. Let's get rid of that. I guess is this 14 gauge? I don't know. That is some substantial wire. This is the way I used to do it before I had wire strippers when I was a kid. That wire is tarnished. All right, how much wire do we need? I have no idea. As long as that is the other side of it. So yeah. You know, I think I'm going to try to make my life a little easier. I got these little guys right here. I'm going to give this a shot. See how well we do. That way I won't have to solder anything, spend a bunch of time doing that. And if this turns out this wiring and all this crap is just junk and none of it's going to work, I will not have spent hours and hours and hours trying to rebuild stuff. So, and then, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's give ourselves enough wire to play with here. I reckon that ought to do it. I wonder if I got another one of these. You know, if none of this works, we can always just replace the headlight assembly later on, you know? We'll just consider this semi-temporarily permanent for now. Don't give me a hard time. Let's see. Was it the other way? It was the other way, I think. Yeah, it was the other way. That's why it won't go on, because you're a dummy. All right, there we go. There we go. We might have just lucked out and just created ourselves a nice, handy little fix there. Cool. All right, where was the other one at? This wire here. You might be able to just put some tape on that and just forget about it. You know, it's a little corroded there, but all right. We're going to go for the easy way out here. We're just going to put a piece of tape over this little section of wire and hope for the best. And again, if none of this works out, if I get problems with the lights, they start blinking out on me, or, you know, I'll know what the problem is, and I'll just go spend the money on some replacement headlight assemblies and do it properly. So, but for now, I just want, when I get ready to drive the car, I just want to be able to have some lights. So this is not permanent. So now I need to, this is the ground, and they were all tied to this one area, and it was riveted. So I need to get that out of there, and I need to find myself a little screw. Let's get that out of there real quick. All right, so found a screw and a nut that will fit through these holes here, and it always pays to, well, keep old hardware, and always pays to have a highly efficient organization system. Lock washer, score, that's what I needed right there. Ooh, look at that. And a flat too. Look at that. Alright, so we're just going to put this together here. Clearly I'll have to cut this screw off. It's too long. But we'll do that tomorrow. But for now, we're going to go ahead and put this over on the parts bench, awaiting its counterpart to come out of the vinegar bath. So last thing I'm going to do here as far as the cleanup goes is work on these little trim rings around the edge of the headlight. And you can see here, you know, it's a lot of corrosion there, green, all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things. And with some 4/0 steel wool and a little bit of 3M rubbing compound, you see what you get, right? So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm going to clean these trim rings up, and then we'll move on. And I'm going to follow up with you know, doing it by hand, you know, does a pretty good job. But, well, I'd like to do a little bit better job than, you know, pretty good. So, see how well we do here. Yeah, that's much nicer. Yeah, that's much nicer indeed. Alright, we're going to give both of them the treatment here. I'll be back in a few minutes. Alright, so here's the replacement light that I got on eBay. This is an original equipment unit. It's Bosch, you know, the whole 9 yards. Just like the one that's on the car. Bosch, Germany, LE1203L. Anyway, so yeah, but the wiring harness is, well, is what it is there. So that's not really a thing. So we'll need to address that. See what we got here. The wiring harness on the light that's on the car seems to be fine, and it's intact, so we'll probably transfer them. Probably everything on the, I'm going to make an assumption that all of the stuff that's on the light that's on the car is good, except for the glass, which is the whole reason I'm replacing it anyway. I could probably just exchange the glass. But it's got some rust in it, doesn't it? That's, whatever. I'm not really concerned with that. So let's get these wires out of here, because these are not going to be used. Let's make our life easier, Harris. What are you doing? Just, you know, don't struggle like a dummy. All right, let me go get the other one off the car, and along with the wiring, and I'll be right back. All right, new plan. We're going to use the glass out of this and put it in that one that's already on the car, because there's a bracket on the old one, and the bracket is like off skew, and it sort of blacks out the trim, and it's shaped like the bumper. Anyway, it's just because of the geometry of the front end on these cars is just kind of like, you know, and they did some creative stuff to make the lights look like they weren't hung on the car by a couple of drunk monkeys. Do not do that. Do not. I've got to get this glass out of here. It's held in. It's got a couple of metal clips that just, metal tabs that just bend over. So let's get these out of here, out of our way. Just get out of there. Thank you very much. Okay. I may, you know what? Man, look at that. I may piece this thing together because this reflective stuff is better than what's on my car. All right, let me do some thinking. I'll be back here in a minute. So, got my head out of my rear here and got the old stuff off of the car. So, this is the old reflective unit. And look at the thickness of the glass. It's like nearly 1/4 of an inch. Isn't that impressive? What are we going to do now? I guess we're just going to figure out which pieces we're going to use and which ones we're not. This is the one that came from eBay. The inside is really shiny, but the back is a little rusty. Okay, this is off my car. The back is pretty good, but the inside has lost its luster. And can we... Okay, that's just a little dirt. What about this bulb? Looks like it's bent. Oh boy, come on. You can do it. You can do it. Come on. There we go. Ripped those 2 prongs right out of there, didn't we? Yeah, this one from eBay is a little rusty down in there. It's rusty on the back. I don't think we're going to use it. Plus the contacts, the ground is rusty. And surprisingly, the one on my car isn't. So yeah, I guess we'll reuse this one that came on my car. Okay, so we know we're going to use that bit right there. Now we have the outside covers. The outside cover on mine is a little corroded, but it does have some rubber things on it. Not sure if that's important or not. So I think really all we're going to do is transfer the glass out of the one from eBay into mine. And well, I take that back. We have to make sure and we know which. Ooh, that was dumb, wasn't it? Hey, I did that wrong. I did that completely wrong. So let's do it correctly. Clearly, I don't know anything about changing out prehistoric halogen lights because there's a procedure. See the little wires there? Remember this back in the day? You had to, when you changed the halogen headlight bulbs and you had this little wire. See, I completely forgot about all of that. I haven't done it in so many years. Okay, so basically what that means is if this bulb was good, I ruined it. So yeah. So let's take this one out. Can you even buy these anywhere? Man, I don't know. You just give me a break. All right, let me put a battery on this, and it looks fine. Let me put a battery on this and make sure it works. I'll be right back. All right, so this one works perfectly fine. Let me clean out this reflective area real quick. All right, that's good enough. Get our bulb back in here. Yeah, I haven't done one of these in forever. Man, I just completely brain dumped all of that information. So, okay. All we do is take this over to the car and put it back on. So let me go clean these bolts up real quick. You know what? I'm not even going to do that. I'm not going to worry with that. All right, so this is the original guy here. Look at this oddball looking bracket. You see that? So this angled off like that. And you got, this is offset from there, you know, and it's just bizarre. It's done so that this can be, I guess, so that it looks straight or something, because the bumper is at a weird angle, and anyway, it's kind of bizarre. I'm not gonna worry with cleaning this up. This wiring harness goes way back somewhere, several feet, and I'm not gonna worry with it. So let's see, get our ground connected here, and then we'll get the hot wire connected. Let's see, that is up. So this goes like this. This little guy here, that black part that goes on the top, makes the light go down, I guess, instead of into other people's eyes on the road. I don't know. Don't know. This is these deck. I know one thing. These light assemblies are built like a tank, like everything else on this car. Don't give me a hard time. Get back up in there. Should have done that one first. All right, let's try again. Let's try again. We'll do this one first. This sucks. This is stupid. Why is it like this? Okay, just figured it out. Clearly, R107 people are like, this dumbass. Let's see, we'll put the bulb in last. We'll play it like that. Boy, if I was on the ground sitting down doing this, I would be cussing up a storm. This is dumb. All right, now we're going to get our rubber seal in here some kind of way. All right, now we have to go get our glass, which we didn't bring. Oh yeah, this glass is supposed to be held down by these little metal tabs. So let's do it properly. Do not break the glass. How are you supposed to do this? I'm going to call that good. This is a substantial unit. I mean, I can't get over how substantially this light is made. It's just crazy. All right, need a couple of bolts here. Get this little bracket here holding the wiring harness to the frame. We'll put that back. Well, that looks a lot better, doesn't it? May not be straight, but it's a little cockeyed because this one looks straight. This one is a little cockeyed because I think this little bracket right here is bent down a little bit. Yeah, it is, because that bracket there is supposed to be straight across level to the ground, I'm assuming, and this one is not. It's bent downward. The bumper, something wrong with the bumper. The bumper got hit and got mashed upward. Whoever was driving ran up on something. And I haven't figured out where all the damage is just yet, but it's in the bumper assembly. The whole bumper assembly has been pushed up. Like this bracket here is bent, and you can tell that that's bent up right there. Anyway, you get it. I'm not going to solve all those problems right here, right now. I just wanted to get some of this looking a little bit better. I need a piece of rubber right there. At least we got a light to look at instead of a broken lens now. But right now, I think I'm going to do something about that bent license plate bracket. It may be just as simple as grabbing it with some pliers and bending it back the way it should look. I don't know. We'll see. Let's just go ahead and get this bracket off the car. I'm tired of looking at it. Looking all bent up and stupid looking. All right, let's, this is just the whole front end of this car is just weird. Am I the only one that thinks that? Not a very attractive unit, is it? This thing is bent up pretty badly. But then again, if you just get it, you know, straight enough that you know, with a license plate on it, no one will know. So I guess that's probably how we will solve our dilemma. Find ourselves a cool license plate for the front of our R107, and it'll be okay. Yep, that'll be the ticket. I think we'll just get it straight enough and then put a plate on it and, you know, call it good. I think that is the way we'll play that. All right, off to the vinegar with ye. All right, I think that's it for one day. I'll be back in the morning. All right, back on the calipers here. I ordered some
brake hardware kits at random. Well, not really random. I looked at older models of Mercedes, late 60s, early 70s, like the big cars, the S-Class cars, and picked a couple that I thought looked okay. This one is far too small. Not even going to get it out of the bag. It doesn't even fit. That's the part number. Anyway, this one looks pretty good. 340-16003. Dynamic friction or centric, I forget the brand. I'll probably put it in the video. Anyway, so this is the original one. It was all rusted up, and I suppose, we could continue to use it, really. But I was curious just to know, can I find one that works without paying? I mean, Niemöller had this spring for this early model chassis, €86 for just the spring. Okay? This kit here was like, I don't know, $9. Now, so you can see that the length here is correct. Okay? And the width is, this one might be, I don't know, a millimeter more narrow or something, but it's not as well built as the original equipment, clearly, because that's boxed in, that area right there, and this is just, well, it's like that. So, see, that goes all the way down like that and slips through. The original equipment doesn't. It sits on top, kind of sits right there. So, got the correct size brake pads for this car. C-Tech brand, got it from Rock Auto. Semi-metallic stuff. All right, so yeah, fit down in there nicely. I think I'm going to continue to use the original springs. As you can see, the edges have a nice dip down, and these are more flat and don't really fit all that well. Now you could make them work. If you were in a pickle and you didn't have these, you could make these work. The pins that came in with the other kit that I bought the other day, these are the pins that came in with that other kit I got back in our early kit you saw in the previous video. And these are the pins that came in with this guy right here. And you can see they're a little longer, which is what I wanted. And this portion is different as well. This doesn't really, this hangs out too much over here. Okay, so I think a longer, beefier pin is what we needed. So we're going to use these pins that came out of this kit here. So we're going to use the pins that came out of this kit with the original springs. I've got one in there already. I think that is going to work out okay. All right, we've got a brake caliper that's going to work for us. So I haven't put the pins all the way in there. You got to tap that in to compress that little spring right there. But that is looking really nice. So yeah, all we need is a brake rotor, which is already on the car. So need to get myself some brake caliper paint and pretty these up a little bit, and then we'll be able to get these on the car finally. Hey, just a little short interlude about my favorite cleaner, Super Clean. As I said earlier, I had wanted to clean up these headlight trim pieces I got off eBay. And as I discussed, we got the Dremel tool out and we cut the plastic from around these metal pieces so that we could gain access to the back side of the trim pieces. And they're just, they're just loaded up with mud, dirt, mold, all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things. And anyway, so it was like that. Now it's like that, thanks to Super Clean in the bucket there and a little brush, easy peasy. And shouldn't take but a few minutes to clean these up, and I can put the covers back on, and I'll have a brand new trim piece for the R107. All right, just took the piece outside and washed the remaining dirt out with the simple water hose. And man, I am really stoked. That is so cool. I got basically a brand new trim piece for the price of, well, a very old and cruddy used one off eBay. So that is pretty nice. Super Clean. Get you some. All right, there we go. Overnight in the vinegar and then put on the wire wheel. And, it's got some pitting, right? But that's as good as it's going to get. very complex shape. No, I'm not going to take the adjusters off and take those springs out. Got a little rust down in there. I'm not really concerned about it. It's going to get primed with some self-etching primer from Duplicolor, and then I'm going to put a coat of aluminum on it, and it should be fine for many years to come. So let me go ahead and paint this thing up, and then I think we'll be ready to start the reassembly. All right, there we go. We got it primed up and got a coat of silver paint on it. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect because none of this is seen. It is all hidden. We just needed to keep the corrosion down. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bolt this wiring harness back to, let's see, that's upside down. And it goes, yeah, like that. All right. Let me get this together. I got my 2 screws here to go on either end there, and then I've got a little screw here to take the place of the rivet that was right there. So yeah, let me get that attached next. All right, I had to go up to O'Reilly and pick up a couple of bulbs. These are 1893s, 4.6 watts for this side marker here. There we go. All right, I need the screw for that. And the low beam, this is the high beam bulb. I tested it. It's fine. Both the high and low elements work in that bulb. But I had to go get another. This is the low beam. It's only got 2 prongs on it. They had to go in the back room and find that, comically. So they didn't have it out on the main aisle. All right. Now, what's next? Well, the high beam's right here. Let's do that. It's a little nasty. Yeah, that's much nicer. All right, good old Wagner. There we go. All right, let's see. Get our nice shined up beauty rings on there. All right, let's get our new light here. This is a Sylvania Basic H5001. Cheapest thing you can get, basically. But we'll have some headlights. All right, low beam gets a beauty ring too. Looking very nice. Looking really smart. Let's plug our wiring harness into the bulbs. All right, we got those plugged in there. We got that ground tightened down with a screw, and I got a lock washer and a nut on the other side. We got the beauty rings. We got the headlights. Let's do the side marker next. Where's it at? There it is. That is it's in pristine shape when I pulled it out of there. It slips in there like that. Now we've got our new Mercedes-Benz side marker cover, made in Germany, Bosch. I mean, this is exquisite. Let's clean the dust out of it with my dusty shirt. All right, we got to get the seal on there. I'm running out of space on the workbench here. How do we do this? You guys know how to do this? All right, I think we got it. And we got to put these nuts on here without everything flying apart. Got some washers. Not sure how tight to make that. I think that's probably good enough. As long as you get some decent compression on the seal, I guess that's good enough. Alright, what's next? Man, that's looking good. Let me tell you what. Looks a fair sight better than it did yesterday. Holy cow. Man, I can't get over that. Alright, so now I got, all we got to do now is bolt it up to the car. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, and then we get to put our new headlight trim on. So let's move over to the front of the car and see how good this looks. Alright, did what I said I was going to do, and got some duplicolor self-etching paint, and covered up the rust after I had treated it with the 415 metal prep, and that'll be good enough for our purposes for right now until we paint the car at a later date, because she needs it. See that rust on that fender right there? Pretty nasty. Alright, we got to put that piece of rubber back in its little cubby hole there. Let's see here. It is a substantial grommet, and I pushed it through. That's awesome. Alright, grommet in place. Get our screws right there, staged up and ready. And let's get our, man, look at that down in there. I'm going to have to clean these connectors up before I put it on there. That one there is corroded, so let me get after that. I'm just going to use this drill bit and just kind of graze the side of it to get that corrosion off. I'm not drilling anything, the bit's too dull for that. Ooh, I know what I was going to do. I was going to put a little lithium grease on that so that it wouldn't be so difficult. That's not the right application for that lubricant. You're supposed to use the X.42 electrolytic blah blah blah. Yeah, well, I don't have any. This will be fine. It was laying nearby, so we used it. Ease it down on there. Grab the other one here. Alright, there we go. Let's get a screw in this thing. It's making me nervous. What do you guys think? Man, that's looking smart there. Let me tell you what. The rest of the car looks like dog crap, but this looks pretty good. Alright, we've got all the screws started. Now we can tighten them down. Alright, let me go get the trim ring that I cleaned up earlier. I'll be right back. Alright, here we go. Where'd I put my screwdriver? One thing right after another. There it is. You know, they probably could have put more than 2 screws on this. I think I just figured out why these things break. Because you got this lip right here, and it's supposed to go underneath that right there. Seems like it might be in a little bit of a bind. And over time, it, you know, shatters. Alright. Gently. Gently. That was not starting. Might have to clean up the hole. Might have some paint in it. Let me check it out real quick. Nah, it's fine. If it's cross-threaded, we'll just cross-thread it some more. There we go. I think that looks pretty smart indeed. All right, so now we got this cruddy looking piece here that we got to put on the car. But before we do, I'm just going to hit it with a little bit of Scotch-Brite just to, you know, make it look a little less crappy.
Now we got to figure out. Sounds like Rick's cutting some firewood. I am missing a screw. I need one for right there. Let me see if I can't hunt one down. Alright, I found a suitable replacement. Looks exactly like the others, except it's a little newer. That's all. You get painted anyway, won't matter. Alright, very cool. Get some of this stuff out of the way. We disturbed our taping job because we got sidetracked with the headlight restoration, but I think we came out ahead. Alright, so I got the trim ring off the driver's side, and thankfully there are no rodent nests to be seen. However, we have the typical corrosion around the trim rings here and a little bit of rust, just a little bit of rust on the housing itself. I'd like to test all the bulbs, you know, make sure all of these work, make sure that bulb there works. And I think really we're just going to give it the same treatment we did as the other side, except not as extreme because that one was pretty rough. But before I do that, I've got to clean up the other headlight trim like I did earlier for that one. So I guess I'll go do that first. All right, folks, I think we're going to leave this video right here. The passenger side headlight assembly is going to get the same treatment as the driver's side, although it won't be quite as thorough because it just doesn't need as much attention. But I'm at a stopping point on that until I go get a milling bit for the Dremel tool, because the screw that holds the cover in place on the other side of the car over there, well, it's pretty much rusted and welded itself to the car, and it is not coming off. So I'm going to have to cut it out. And I don't think drilling is an option. I think the Dremel tool with a little milling bit, I'll be able to get the head of that screw off and get that cover off, but that's going to take several hours. So, yeah, I think I'm going to leave this video right here. The 2nd of January, 2026. I appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to be notified whenever I release a new video, don't forget to click that little bell down below. You guys have a good one, and remember to enjoy restoring your classic Mercedes.